Good morning, everyone. Today we will start a new lesson called Natural Disasters, the new unit's name. My name is Myra. I am a teacher in Nazarbayev Intellectual School of Chemistry and Biology in Атырау. I'm very pleased to meet you all here and hope we will have an interesting lesson. Thank you. Okay, let's start. So, our learning objectives. Today mostly we will focus on content. Today also we will focus on reading skills and the development of speaking skills. So what are they more precisely? So during speaking exercise we will recount some extended stories and the events on a limited range of general and the curricular topics. For reading learning objectives, we are going to understand the main points in a growing range of short, simple texts on general and curricular topics. For reading number 2, we are going to understand independently specific information and the detail in short, simple text on a limited range of general and curricular topics. And of course, the most important part of our lesson, it will be the focus on the content. That means we are going to learn a lot of new words related to this unit, and we are going to talk about a new information which happened in Kazakhstan regarding this topic. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I would like you all to work in groups and discuss what is a natural disaster. You will have to find separate meanings of a natural disaster in two separate words. The first word will be natural, the second word will be disaster. Okay, so your time will be about 2 minutes. Okay, let's check what these two separate words mean. So natural means existing in nature and not made or caused by people coming from nature. Disaster means something that has a very bad effect or result. That means something bad which might happen to our environment or an overall situation. So as you have understood, we are going to talk about natural disasters, and more precisely, it will be about the natural disasters happened in Kazakhstan. Okay, I would like you all to ask this question: what kind of natural disasters do you know? Can you name some of them? What kind of natural disasters have you heard of? Or maybe you know some of them in Russian language. Tell us. What kind of natural disasters do you know? Okay, I think most of you are right. I think all of you know a lot of different various natural disasters, and for this presentation I gathered some of the most disasters happened in the world, maybe still happening in the world, and some of them happened in Kazakhstan. So let's go through these disasters. Okay, the first one, as you can see, is the hurricane. It's the large circular storm with strong winds. Usually hurricanes happen in seas or oceans and other sea world. Okay. Second natural disaster is the tornado. Tornado is an extremely strong wind concentrated in one area. So I think all of you know that mostly tornadoes happen in Western countries such as USA, and some of them happened in Mexico. Okay, the third one, earthquake. Have you heard about an earthquake? What is an earthquake? Can you tell me? Of course, all of you are right. In an earthquake, usually the ground shakes, buildings are often destroyed, and most of you might know that earthquakes happen in Almaty region, mostly in southern part of Kazakhstan. You are right. Okay, the next natural disaster is called flood. Okay, students, can you tell me what flood is? Have you heard about flood? Maybe have you faced flood? Have you had experience with such a natural disaster? Yes, you are quite right. Some of you tell me that some flood situations happened in Kazakhstan. Yes, we will talk about it later, but let me explain what flood is. Usually flood happens when it rains a lot and the water in the river gets so high that it gets over the river banks. That means all city or small town or one area can get full of water. The next one, have you heard about blizzard? It's one of the popular natural disasters. Usually might happen in very snowy areas, in areas where it snows a lot, or maybe mountainous areas, why not? So blizzard, it's a very strong snowstorm. As you can see in the picture, it's snowing a lot, the cars are covered in snow, and maybe the area or small town also can be covered in snow. Avalanche, have you heard about avalanche? Okay, this one is one of the unusual natural disasters actually. You might not often see or meet this natural disaster, but anyways, usually you can notice this kind of avalanches in snowy areas, in snowy mountains, especially in cities where it snows a lot, maybe countries where it snows a lot. Okay, so what is the definition of an avalanche? An avalanche is when a lot of snow falls down the side of a mountain. Okay, the whole pile of snow falls the downside and takes everything on its way. It's one of the dangerous natural disasters, I would say. Okay, let's continue. Landslide, or in other words, we call it mudslide. Have you heard about it? Actually, this type of disaster, natural disaster, happened in Kazakhstan, if I'm not mistaken, in 2003. Okay, you will see in following slides, and when you will be reading about the natural disaster happened in Kazakhstan. So, what is a landslide? Right. Landslide or mudslide, how we call it, is when soil, rocks or mud falls down the side of a hill or mountain. As you can see, all these dirty things cover the town, the city, or it might be the street, and it takes everything on its way, one of the dangerous ones. Okay. Okay, this one is one of the popular natural disasters. One of the, I would say, popular natural disaster happened through whole history, and you know that about 1500 of volcanoes are active nowadays in the world. So volcanic eruption. When the volcano explodes, the event is called a volcanic eruption. So the explosion of volcano is called volcanic eruption, and you already know what volcano is. Okay, let's continue. Drought. Have you heard of drought? Well, you might probably say that in some cities we have drought, yeah, where some areas are dry, nothing grows, we don't get enough water, and this is really bad for our plants, for our flowers, for our maybe vegetables we grow, and so on. So the definition for the drought, as you can see, drought is when there is not enough water because it hasn't rained for a long time. So, of course, the reason will be raining. When sometimes rain doesn't happen, this might happen with other areas or with other territories or with other fields or so on. Okay, tsunami. One of the natural disasters that are popular, especially the Thailand or India, where oceans are present. So in a tsunami, the water from the ocean comes in and covers the land, Tsunamis are caused by an earthquake in the middle of the ocean. Okay, as you can see, the key word here is the ocean. And the reason why tsunamis happen is, what is that? What is the reason why tsunamis happen? Right. The reason why tsunamis happen is an earthquake. Okay, so now let's check our memory skills, to what extent you can remember these words, these pictures, or maybe you can explain to me some definitions. So by this exercise we will kind of revise of what we have learned right now. Okay, so what is the picture is about? What is the landslide? Can you tell me? Yes, right. Landslide, or how we call it, mudslide. This comes from the top of the mountains and sweeps everything away on its way, of course, and everything is dirty, everything gets dirty. It's one of the dangerous natural disasters, right? What this natural disaster is about? Yes, it is a blizzard, right? So can you tell me what is a blizzard? Can you explain to me? Yes, blizzard is when it snows a lot, the city, the whole territory gets full in the snow. As you can see in the picture, cars are covered with snow. Yeah, it's one of the types of natural disaster. Let's continue. What is it? Look at this picture. What kind of natural disaster is that? Yes, all of you are right. It's a hurricane. It's one of the dangerous natural disasters. And students, can you tell me where does this natural disaster usually happen? As you can see in the picture. All of you are right. Usually it happens in sea or ocean. Good. What this picture is about? What kind of natural disaster can you see from here? Right. So this is the picture of an earthquake. So what happens during the earthquake? Can you tell me what happens with the land? What happens with the territory? What happens with the buildings during the earthquake? Can you tell me? Well done. Usually when earthquake happens, the ground shakes, yeah? The ground cracks, and sometimes the buildings usually are destroyed, yeah? Because they are not strong enough, as you can see in this picture, for example. Let's continue. Tsunami. Yeah, this is a picture of tsunami. Of course, you have noticed it. Can you tell me what is the reason why tsunamis happen? What is the tsunami? Where does tsunami happen? Okay, so tsunami usually happen in the ocean. Yeah, it happens in the oceans. And what was the reason? We talked about it in the previous slides. Yes, all of you are right. The reason why tsunamis happen is because of the earthquake. You are right. Let's continue. What kind of picture can you see from here? What kind of natural disaster it is, and what might happen if we will have this natural disaster? What might happen to people? Yes, all of you are right. This is the picture of drought, the natural disaster. And can you tell me what drought is? Why drought is happening nowadays? Yeah, drought usually happens when it doesn't rain a lot, the ground gets really dry, the plants don't grow, the harvest is not there anymore. Sometimes, of course, people can get very thirsty. It might be very bad for people's life also. Okay. What kind of picture can you see here? It is a volcanic eruption, yes, you are right. Can you tell me how many active volcanoes do we have nowadays in the world? Let's see if you can memorize the previous information which I already told you. Right. Some of you told me that there are about 1500 of volcanoes which are active right now. Yes, good. So the event when volcano explodes, we call it, of course, volcanic eruption. Let's continue. Avalanche. What is an avalanche? You can notice from the picture easily that this is an avalanche. Yeah, it's one of the huge and I would say terrible natural disasters. Usually happens in the high mountains where it snows a lot, yeah? Okay, let's continue. Can you tell me what kind of natural disaster is that? Yeah, this natural disaster's name is flood, and when does usually this happen? Can you tell me in what situations do we have flood? Is it bad to us? Can you explain to us? Well, if you are right, flood usually happens when it rains a lot. As you can see from the picture, all these cars, half of the city is in the water, so it might happen in such areas where it might rain a lot. Okay, what kind of natural disaster it is? Yes, this is the tornado. So usually tornadoes happen in which kind of areas? Where do they happen? Can you tell me in what areas? In what countries maybe, if you know? Yeah, tornadoes happen mostly in Western countries, for example, USA or some parts of Mexico, or maybe in Latin America. Let's continue. Okay, so now the second part of our lesson will be more focused on content. Today you will find out about different natural disasters happen in Kazakhstan. These natural disasters are in the history now. Some of them are new, some of them are old. And today, while I will be explaining this information to you, showing these pictures, students, you will have to make notes, pay attention to unknown words, and pay attention to specific facts, because in the end we are going to play a short game related to this presentation, especially related to the natural disasters happened in Kazakhstan. So my first question to you, what kind of natural disasters are popular in Kazakhstan? Can you tell me? All of you are right. The first popular natural disaster in Kazakhstan is, of course, the earthquake, yeah? Okay. Do you know what other natural disasters happened in Kazakhstan? Except the earthquake, of course. Well, some of you might tell me that it's landslides. Some of you might tell me that it's flood. What others will say? Tornado? Okay. Actually, another type of natural disaster happened in Kazakhstan was the flood. Okay. The third natural disaster, if I'm not mistaken, was the landslide. Okay, you will find out in the following slides. Okay, so the first slide is on the Kebin earthquake, which happened in 1911. So it's one of the huge natural disasters happened in our country, and it's the mark in our history. So if you can see, the magnitude of this earthquake was 8.2. I think it's very huge number of the magnitude of an earthquake. So as you can see from the picture, it actually destroyed everything. It destroyed more than 770 buildings of Almaty. So in that times, most people usually live in yurts, and you know that yurts are not strong enough. Yeah, it's not an iron house or something else. They were very light and they were very sensible to earthquakes. So 452 people actually died and 740 people were injured, and they were taken to the hospitals. And what was the results? What was the conclusion in the end when they were counting the results? They found out that 1,094 houses, 4,545 yurts were destroyed by the earthquake. So this is the natural disaster number 1. Look at the facts, make notes, read it, look at the picture very carefully. So I will be waiting till you write some of these facts for you. Okay, let's continue. The second earthquake. The second earthquake actually happened in 2003. It's not that old, I would say. It's a Zhaosu earthquake, also known as Symbinskaya earthquake. So the date was the 1st December, and also you are given a specific time. But the magnitude of that earthquake was not that high if we compare with the previous earthquake, with the first earthquake. The magnitude of this earthquake was exactly 6 points. Actually 10 people died during that earthquake, and it injured 73 people. That means 73 people were taken into the hospital. And as you can see from the picture, it destroyed everything. It destroyed more than 800 buildings. The earthquake happened in the cold winter, more exactly, and 30 centimeters ground snow covered the roads in mountainous region. You will ask me the question, we haven't heard about this earthquake, it didn't happen in Kazakhstan. Actually, if I will tell you more in detail, this earthquake happened in the border near the Kazakhstan and the China. Okay, so I will be waiting while you were writing some of the facts, while you were making some notes. Let's continue. So the third landslide, okay, the third one is the natural disaster called landslide, which happened in Almaty. So as you can see from the slide, 1,000 people were evacuated from areas. That means 1,000 people were moved from one area to another area around the city of Almaty. So when this happened, it happened on 23rd of July of 2015. The reason why this landslide happened actually is the high temperature, which made snow to melt in mountains. So everything was melting because of the high temperature. So you can see the conclusion happened in the end. 1,036 people were moved from this city, 6 people were taken to hospital, 78 were given medical assistance, 127 houses actually suffered damage. That means some of them were actually destroyed. Also, it destroyed some of the bridges, roads, power lines. And if you can see from the slide, the result of this also was the number of people who were staying without electricity, without light. So that means 3,000 people will remain without electricity. That was the result of this landslide. It's one of the huge natural disasters happened in Almaty more recently, in 2015. So please make notes, write some of the dates, facts. I will be waiting for that. Okay, let's continue. The last natural disaster, I would say one of the saddest natural disasters happened in Kazakhstan, which took a lot of people's lives. So this happened in Kızılağaç, which is located in Almaty province of Kazakhstan. This happened on 11th of March of 2010. It is happened because of the dam located outside of the village. So this dam couldn't resist the flood, the melting snow, and because of that, 43 people were killed, 211 people were injured. They were taken to the hospital. 1,000 people were moved from that village to another village. But actually, if you read the newspapers, usually other reports say that actually 200 people died rather than 43 people. Okay, 600 emergency service workers traveled to the region to help, and the government has given them 600 million tenge for help. It's one of the saddest natural disasters happened in Kazakhstan. But actually, if you will check this information on internet, you can find out that now Kızılağaç village actually transformed the village into new one. They built a lot of new houses. Now it's a brand new village because of the government help. So you are given 1 minute to write some of the facts, pay attention to them, make notes, and we will continue. Okay, so what are we going right now? As you have paid attention to these slides, I told you to make notes, pay attention to facts, pay attention to dates. We are going to create our own questions related to what you have just read, what you have just written about for the quick tennis game, okay? So for this task, please make sure that your questions are understandable, so we can understand your questions. Try to use specific question forms such as when, what, how, and where. Pay attention to simple grammar when asking questions. Hope you won't have any problems, at least with present simple, past simple, because it's the simple grammar which you should know. And you will be given 2 minutes, 3 minutes time to create your own questions, and please do not forget about the criteria which we set together. Okay, your time has started. Okay. So hope you have finished with your questions, and I will try to explain you the instructions for the game called quick tennis. Okay, so students, let's divide into 2 groups. The first group will be A group, the second group will be B group. So all of you will have your questions with you, and now we are going to face each other. Please stand in rows, and 2 groups, A and B groups, face each other. Okay, all of you are facing each other. Okay, now we will start from a student A1. Okay, so student 1 asks questions from student 1 from the B group. Okay, if the student from the B group does not have an answer, then the student number 2 from A group asks questions from the student number 2 in the B group. Okay, that means it's a tennis, short tennis game which you had practiced maybe during your PE classes, but it's more about concentrated on your words, it's more about your questions, it's more about your grammar, and of course it's more about the information which you found out during that presentation. Okay, so let's ask your questions, and I will give you time. Let's check what kind of questions you have. Let's check if you have used the specific structure forms like what, when, how, and where. Let's check if your simple grammar is correct. And then I will ask my own questions in the end. Okay, so let's check. My question will be, when did the cabin earthquake happen? Yes, it happened in 1911. Good. What was the magnitude of Jaosu earthquake? Yes, the exact 6 points. Okay. What was the cause of landslide happened in Almaty in 2015? High temperature, which made snow to melt in mountains. Of course, right. How many people died in Kızılağaç Dam according to the newspaper? According to the newspaper called Svoboda Slova. Yes, you are right. All of you are right. All of you paid attention to small details. Well done, students. 200 people. Okay. So the final part of our lesson is the reflection. I would like to know whether you liked this lesson, whether you didn't like. If you liked it, put your smiles, put your positive smiles. If you didn't like it, put a sad smile, or maybe in the middle, you can put the middle smile. So let's wrap everything up. I will ask you 2 questions as the conclusion, and you will answer to me. What new information have you found out today? And which of those explained natural disasters were new to you? Which of them you knew? So, which of these natural disasters you knew? So most of you will tell me volcano, tornado, earthquake. So which of them were new to you? Landslide, mudslide, okay. Hurricane. Any new information you found out today? So you didn't know the information about the cabin earthquake which happened in 1911. Yes, you need to know about this. It's the big mark in our history. Okay, thank you everyone. Hope you had a very interesting lesson. I'm really glad to see you all here. Hope you gathered a lot of new information today, and the next lesson we are going to check what we have remembered during this lesson. Thank you very much and have a nice day.